Welcome to Block and Wealth. This is where we break down complex ideas, really get into them, so you can build informed strategies.
We aim to give you those actionable insights.
And today, we're diving into something called the law of not forcing. It's a principle that, well, it might just change how you look at success, abundance, and definitely your approach to wealth. I'm David.
And I, Sophia, it's a really intriguing topic. We've looked at some fascinating sources that basically challenge that whole hustle harder mentality.
Right. Suggesting maybe there's a different way to achieve abundance, maybe through flow.
Exactly. It's about shifting perspective on how wealth really comes about. So get ready.
Okay, let's unpack this. The core idea seems to be that there's this silent power, almost, that works behind the scenes, not through struggle, but through allowing.
Yes, through the gentle, trusting act of allowing. It sounds simple, but it cuts against so much of what we're taught.
Especially in finance, right? It's
Yeah.
all push, 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 make it happen, control the outcome. This
Yeah.
feels different.
It really is. Conventional wisdom drills into us, relentless effort, chasing dreams, forcing things. But this law of not forcing points to something deeper.
Simpler, maybe.
Simpler, perhaps more profound. It suggests that when you align your own energy, your mindset, with what you desire, think of it like tuning a radio.
Okay.
So the frequency of what you want, the universe, or maybe just circumstances, deliver it more naturally. Often in ways more magical and perfect than you could have ever orchestrated yourself.
So it's crucial to understand this isn't about being passive, not just sitting back and waiting.
Absolutely not. The law is about doing the right things from the right state of being.
Okay, the state of being is key.
It is. It shifts you from being this lone warrior fighting against life or the market to becoming a co-creator with the universe, working with the flow. It's a subtle shift, but it changes everything.
So what's missing for people who try manifestation techniques, vision boards, affirmations, but just get frustrated?
Well, this might be the missing piece. They focus so hard on the techniques, the doing, but the often missed truth is how the forcing itself, that intense effort,
That's tight grip.
exactly, that tight fist grip actually blocks the very things you are trying to attract.
Right.
We're kind of taught unintentionally that if it's not working, just focus harder, visualize more intensely.
Right. Double down on the forcing, which, based on this, makes it worse.
Precise.
That makes sense. Like
Yeah.
in investing, trying to force a stock to go up by sheer willpower or constant checking, it doesn't work. It just creates anxiety.
Exactly. True manifestation, or even achieving financial goals effectively, seems to be about aligning your energy with the outcome you desire and then allowing it to unfold naturally.
Oh.
When it feels hard, when those goals seem impossibly far despite all your effort, it's like that swimmer fighting the tide.
You just get exhausted.
You push harder, you get more tired, and you're actually resisting the natural current that could carry you.
So this throws that whole no pain, no gain idea out the window, doesn't it? Especially in competitive fields.
It really does challenge it. The sources suggest the universe, or life, does not require your suffering to grant your desires. What it requires is your alignment.
Your openness.
Your openness, exactly. And your willingness to believe that ease is not a betrayal of your dreams, but a confirmation of your connection to them.
That's a powerful thought. Ease as confirmation.
And when effort does come from that place of alignment, it feels different. It's light, natural, and energizing, not like a heavy weight you have to carry.
Okay, let's dig into this energy of forcing a bit more. What does it actually feel like? What is it?
Well, think of it as a specific vibration, an energy signature. It stems from pressure, urgency, fear, and mistrust.
That feeling of, if I don't make this happen, it won't happen.
Precisely. If you do not take control, push harder, and make it happen, it will not happen at all. That core belief, and here's the kicker, that very energy creates resistance.
Which blocks the outcomes.
It blocks the very outcomes you are trying to achieve. It's self-sabotage, energetically speaking, like forcing a business deal that feels off just because you're scared of missing out.
Yeah, I could see that.
And there are clear signs when you're in that forcing energy. The first one is desperation.
That needy feeling.
Yes, it sends out a signal of lack, of not enough. This clogs the energetic channels. Now, when we say energetic channels, don't think of literal pipes.
Right, it's more a state of mind.
Exactly. It's like your mental and emotional state is broadcasting lack, which makes it harder to recognize or receive abundance or opportunity. Your internal signal is jammed.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
The next big sign is control. An overwhelming need to micromanage every single detail.
Trying to control everything.
Right. And that squeezes out the magic, the potential for unexpected good. It narrows your field of possibility because you're only allowing things to happen in the very specific, rigid way you planned.
Like trying to perfectly time every market move instead of trusting a solid long-term strategy.
Perfect example. You limit the ways growth can happen. And the third sign is attachment.
Being too fixated on one specific outcome.
Exactly. Overly attached. This creates this rigid, anxious energy that just blocks flow. It suffocates the natural unfolding. If you're completely fixated on getting that promotion or that exact rate of return, you might miss other, maybe even better opportunities that come along sideways.
So forcing is tight, anxious, controlling, desperate.
Yes. And allowing is the opposite. It comes from trust, from inner peace, from knowing that your desires are already on their way, even if you can't see them yet.
That creates an opening.
An opening, a receptive space where miracles or maybe just good opportunities can enter. It feels more like, well, like trusting your investment research and letting the strategy play out rather than fiddling constantly.
Big irony.
The great irony. When you actually let go of the forcing, release that white-knuckle grip on your goals, you don't lose them. You actually draw them closer.
Wow.
You invite them with greater ease, speed, and beauty because you've removed the resistance. You shift from being a struggler to a receiver.
From a fighter to a co-creator.
Exactly. You start letting the right opportunities, the right investments, the right connections find you instead of frantically chasing down every possibility of fear.
You know, listening to this, trust just keeps coming up. It feels like the absolute foundation. But how does this invisible thread of trust really work? Especially with something tangible like money or wealth. It's called a power. A magnet.
It really is vital. Think about planting seeds. Imagine two gardeners.
Okay.
One plants the seeds, then nervously digs them up every day. Are they growing yet? What's wrong? Lots of anxiety.
Right. Impatient. Forcing, almost.
The other gardener prepares the soil, plants the seeds, provides water and sunlight, the right conditions, and then trusts the process, allows nature to work. Which gardener do you think feels more peaceful and gets better results long term?
The second one, obviously.
Trust is like that. It's choosing to believe in a larger wisdom, maybe the wisdom of the market's long-term trend, or just life's unfolding, even when the immediate path isn't clear, especially when things feel volatile.
But energetically.
Energetically, it shifts your vibration into a state of receiving. You become more attuned to attracting experiences, people, opportunities that resonate with that trust, that abundance. Spiritually, you could see it as an act of surrender to a loving intelligence greater than yourself.
So it's about shifting your internal question, not will this investment work out, but maybe something closer to it is working out, things are unfolding.
Exactly. Moving from will it happen to it is happening. That subtle shift makes you feel more powerful, more available for inspiration. You start hearing those quiet nudges.
The intuition, that gut feeling about a decision.
Yes, those inner prompts to look into something new or reach out to someone. Trust also builds resilience. You start seeing setbacks or market dips not as failures, but as stepping stones, learning opportunities.
Okay, this connects perfectly to that idea. Plant the seed, then let it grow.
It does. Your clear intention, your financial goal, your business plan, that's the seed.
And the mistake is digging it up.
The common mistake is constantly digging up the seed by questioning, doubting, worrying. Is it working? When will I see results? Maybe I chose the wrong goal. Just like a real seed needs time, darkness, stillness to germinate, our desires have their own gestation period. You can't rush germination.
But you don't just walk away from the garden. You mentioned tending the seed. How do you do that without forcing?
Good question. You tend it by focusing on the feeling of already having achieved it. Water it with positive emotion, with gratitude for what's coming.
So for a wealth goal, feel the security, the freedom, the joy now, rather than focusing on the current bank balance.
Precisely. It also involves managing your thoughts, gently steering away from doubt, nurturing your emotional state, and importantly, taking inspired actions when they present themselves. Not forced action, inspired action.
Okay, we'll get to that distinction, but first maybe a daily practice.
Yes, you could bless your intentions daily. Maybe affirm something like, I trust that my desires are growing in unseen ways. I am open to receiving them in perfect timing and form.
Simple, but powerful.
And also, crucially, stay engaged in joyful living now. Don't postpone joy until the goal is met. because joy is the sunlight that speeds the growth of your dreams. When you're feeling good, feeling joyful, you're naturally more receptive. Opportunities seem to find you more easily.
Okay, let's talk action. Because this isn't about no action. It's about the type of action. Forced versus inspired. How do we tell them apart?
It's a crucial distinction. Forced action. Think about how it feels. It's fueled by urgency, fear, maybe a need to control. It feels heavy, frantic.
Like panic selling in a market crash.
Exactly. Or jumping on every single hot tip without real research because you fear missing out. It almost always leads to burnout or poor decisions.
And inspired action.
Inspired action feels different. It's lighter, it's energizing, it feels natural. It often arises from an inner nudge, a quiet knowing, or even a sense of fun or curiosity. It feels joyful.
Like calmly executing a well-thought-out investment strategy, even if the market is choppy. It feels right.
Yes. The key to recognizing the difference is tuning into how you feel before you make that call, send that email, make that trade pause. Do you feel drained, anxious, pressured? Or do you feel energized, clear, maybe even a little excited?
Ask yourself, does this feel like an obligation or does it feel like an invitation?
That's a great way to put it. Inspired action feels like an invitation from life, from opportunity.
And it probably requires trust too, right? Because you might not see the whole picture.
Absolutely. With inspired action, you often don't see the entire staircase, just the next step. It's about following the small openings that lead to greater possibilities. Maybe it's just one conversation, one article you feel drawn to read.
It trusts the timing.
It trusts the timing of life and allows space for magic, for synchronicities to show up in your financial journey or anywhere else.
So living this way means becoming more receptive.
Very receptive, learning to distinguish between the frantic demands of your fearful mind, all that noise, the shoulds, the external pressures, the 204/7 financial news cycle, and the gentle guidance of your higher self, your intuition, which often speaks much more quietly. Remember, the journey, even the journey to wealth, is meant to be one of joy, not suffering.
That reframes everything. This metaphor you mentioned earlier comes to mind. Life is not a battlefield to conquer. It is a river to ride.
It's a powerful one. Surrender, in this context, isn't weakness, it's strength. It's aligning yourself with the power of the current instead of fighting it.
Resistance crops up when things don't go according to our rigid plans, especially with money.
Exactly. When an investment dips or a deal falls through, the forcing mindset asks, why is this happening to me? Grace, or allowing, asks, okay, how might this be happening for me? What's the opportunity here?
And this connects to the energy of ease. It's not laziness.
Not at all. Ease is described as a vital energy, a powerful current. It's deep alignment where action becomes almost effortless, or at least flows smoothly. When you're in that state of ease, you become magnetic. Opportunities find you.
Think about people who seem lucky. Things just fall into their lap. Maybe it's this energy.
It could very well be. You cultivate ease by first believing it's possible, by prioritizing things that bring you joy, and by consistently practicing gratitude, even for small financial wins.
And the universe, or life, seems to communicate through signs, synchronicities, and divine timing.
Yes, it has its own language if you're open to it. Signs are those subtle confirmations, maybe seeing the same number sequence repeatedly when thinking about a goal, or hearing a specific company name pop up unexpectedly just before an opportunity related to it appears.
Okay. And synchronicities.
Those are the meaningful coincidences. Running into the exact person you needed to talk to, finding the perfect resource seemingly by chance. Things line up in ways you couldn't have planned.
And divine timing.
That's the idea that things unfold when you are truly ready to receive them. Maybe you need certain experiences or lessons first before that big success or level of wealth arrives so that you can handle it wisely and it actually sticks.
So the advice is to stay open to these signals.
Believe they exist, remain curious, receptive, and grateful when they appear. And importantly, remember, silence does not mean absence. Just because you don't see results yet doesn't mean things aren't moving behind the scenes, and delay does not mean denial. It might just be divine timing at play.
Now, something really crucial for people pursuing goals: releasing attachment without losing passion. How does that work? They seem contradictory.
It's a fine balance. Attachment is when you load up your desires with fear and desperation. I must have this or I'll be miserable. That energy, as we discussed, blocks manifestation.
Right.
True detachment means holding your dreams with an open hand. You're still passionate, still working towards them with inspired action, but your happiness, your sense of self-worth, isn't dependent on achieving that specific outcome in a specific way by a specific time.
So you're passionate about financial freedom, but not crushed if one particular investment doesn't perform exactly as hoped. You adjust, you stay open.
Exactly. And interestingly, detachment often speeds up manifestation
Ah,
because it shifts your energy from lacking and needing to having or allowing. You're implicitly signaling that you trust the process, that you're okay regardless. It's like the butterfly in your hand analogy.
yes, if you clutch it tightly.
You crush it. If you hold your hand open, it's free to stay or fly. Holding desires gently allows them space to manifest, often in surprising and faster ways.
And this can even lead to quantum shifts, those sudden leaps.
Yes, those moments when change seems to happen all at once. A sudden breakthrough, a huge opportunity materializing seemingly out of nowhere. These rarely come from more pushing.
They come from releasing
It
resistance.
comes from a deep internal shift in your energy and consciousness. They happen when resistance is finally released and true alignment is achieved. You've created the internal space for that big shift.
But you can't make one happen.
No, you cannot force a quantum shift. You can only create the conditions for it by consistently cultivating trust, joy, openness, and taking inspired action. Remember, speed is not measured by frantic action, but by energetic alignment.
So bringing this all together, how do we live this law of not forcing day to day?
It starts with awareness, checking in with yourself frequently. How am I feeling right now? Am I tense? Am I forcing this? Especially around money decisions.
Am I acting from fear or from trust?
Exactly. Maybe incorporate daily alignment rituals, a few minutes of meditation, gratitude practice, visualizing from a place of ease. Tune into your emotions, they're your gradient system, and let inspired action be your guide, not frantic pressure.
And practice gratitude, flexibility. Self-compassion seems important too.
Hugely important. Be kind to yourself when you slip back into forcing, because you will. It's a practice. This approach really can transform life from feeling like a constant battlefield into more of a beautiful dance. You start living in joyful expectation.
Thinking about personal growth. Gosh, how often do we force things in relationships or try to force ourselves to change habits through sheer willpower, only to burn out?
All the time. Embracing this allowing could bring so much more harmony and, ironically, more effortless growth in all parts of life, not just finance.
And applying it directly to investing and money habits again, instead of those panicked reactions to market swings.
Imagine trusting the river, the long-term flow, taking inspired, calm actions based on your strategy, not fear. Think about how much peace that could bring to your financial life. Ask yourself, where might fear or the need for control be blocking my financial flow right now?
So a challenge for you, our listener. Identify just one area this week where you feel you might be forcing it. Maybe it's a specific goal, a task, even a relationship.
And just experiment. What would it feel like to practice allowing in that one area? Loosen the grip, inject some trust, invite ease, see what happens.
Remember, wealth isn't just the final number in your account. It's also about the energy, the ease, the joy you bring to the journey of receiving abundance.
Well said.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive on the law of not forcing. If this resonated, please subscribe to Block and Wealth wherever you get your podcasts.
And share this with someone you think might need to hear this message of ease and alignment.
Wealth isn't luck, it's strategy.